Teacher Talking Sports, what does with do how we live, and let's continue the series I've been doing where I attempt to name who I believe is the best player in each MLB franchise's all-time history. Their all-time GOAT. Previously did this for NBA, NFL, and NHL teams. They're in playlists. You can check them out. As are the MLB ones I have done. I've been going alphabetical order, although admittedly I messed up yesterday. I did the Cleveland Guardians. Skipping today's team, the Cincinnati Reds. My apology, Reds fans, but here they are today. The Reds have a 143-year history, and the majority of those have been known as the Cincinnati Reds. The team has won five World Series in 1919, then 1940. 1975, 1976, and 1990. Now, before I reveal who I believe is the GOAT of the franchise, I've been revisiting the MLB Mount Rushmores I did about three years ago, where I named who I believe are the four best players in franchise history. So just seeing if I would make any changes 3 years that have passed. I will keep it the same, alphabetical order by last name. We got Johnny Bench, played the entirety of his 17-year career with the Cincinnati Reds, winning two World Series. Joe Morgan. Morgan was named MVP back-to-back seasons in 1975 and 76 while with the Reds. Frank Robinson, one of the game's elite sluggers, plays first 10 seasons with the Reds, slugging 324 homers, also was named MVP in 1961. And then, of course, the all-time hit king, Pete Rose, played 19 of his 24 seasons with the Reds, totaled 3,358 hits in his time in a Cincinnati uniform, also won MVP in 1973. Probably the two toughest omissions would be Barry Larkin, former NL MVP, and Joey Votto, another former NL MVP. Some other honorable mentions include Tony Perez, Ed Roush, Veda Pinson, Bid McPhee, to name a few. But in the end, Dave Concepcion, I should say as well. Maybe a George Foster as well. But in the end, this really was tight between two guys who just played longer with the team than Morgan and Frank Robinson. Tough one. I went with Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench, in my eyes, the best catcher of all time. Made his debut with the team on August 28th, 1967. Played with them until 1983. As I mentioned, all 17 seasons of his career with the Reds. Bench was named MVP in both 1970 and 1972. 1968 NL Rookie of the Year, also had MVP finishes of fourth twice and 10th in his career. Not only was he a very solid bat, but he was a great fielder as well, as he won 10 straight gold gloves from 1968 to 1977 while behind the plate. Yes, in my eyes, the best catcher of all time. I think when I did my catcher Mount Rushmore, I had him, Yogi Berra, Mike Piazza, and Pudge, but I would give Bench the advantage over those three, not by much, but it's close. But anyhow, let's look at his season by season numbers via his baseball reference. So, in his career, batted 267 with an 817 OPS, 389 homers, 1,376 RBIs, 1,091 runs scored, 2,048 hits. As you can see, Bench led the NL in homers twice, both of those seasons connected on 40 homers, had two other seasons with at least 30, and an additional seven more of at least 22. Three times led the NL in RBIs, an awesome 148 of them in 1970. Those were three of six seasons where he reached triple digits in runs scored. Also totaled 381 doubles in his career high of 40, but had 5 seasons where he hit at least 30. As I mentioned, he won two World Series with the Reds back-to-back years, 1975 and 1976. And that 76 postseason, he was incredible, batting .444 with three homers and 7 RBIs in just 7 games. And as I mentioned, also won World Series MVP that year, I should add. As I mentioned, was an outstanding fielder as well. And if you look at his caught stealing percentage, it was at 43.5% for his career. And during his prime, it was much higher than that. 3 times he led the league in caught stealing percentage. I mean, look at 1969. He caught 40 of 70 guys who tried stealing on him. 1972 caught 31 of 55. So 2 seasons where he caught more than 50% is incredible. But yes, Johnny Bench, first ballot Hall of Famer in 1989. Um, you could argue whether or not he's the best catcher of all time. In my eyes, he is. His 389 homers are 65th all time. His 1,376 RBIs are 85th all time. Johnny Bench was just a staple of so many good Cincinnati Reds teams. Not only did they win 2 World Series, he made 4 in his career. So yes, it's a almost a coin toss between Johnny Bench and Pete Rose. I, in the end, gave Bench the slight advantage. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now, with all these teams, I take a look at the active roster, decide if anyone has a chance to overtake the GOAT, make the Mount Rushmore be an honorable mention. I mean, the Reds went 77-85 last season. You could say a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, who stole 67 bases this past year, but man, he's got to become a better contact hitter after striking out an obscene 218 times. I mean, other than that, the only guy who I could maybe see being an honorable mention, Hunter Green really had a very good season this past year, named to his first All Star team, 2.75 ERA. He is just 25 years old, but he would need to do it, a few more times before we could even put him into that consideration. Otherwise, hard to envision or see a player having enough to even be an honorable mention on Mount Rushmore. This is a very good Mount Rushmore, as I mentioned. I couldn't even put Barry Larkin or Joey Votto on it, so gonna be very hard to crack it. But anyhow, yes, tomorrow I will be doing the Colorado Rockies, so stay tuned for that. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.